Now with Shaq Barrett, it very well could be that he wants so much that,
Right.
like you said, they just know they can't do it.
Right.
And we've mentioned a few times how many pass rushers are hitting the market. They can just do what they did 2 years ago when they signed Shaq Barrett. He comes in as a stranger, and he has 19 sacks.
No.
So they'll find another pass rusher to come in. Maybe you can get 2 or 3 pass rushers for less than what it would cost to keep Shaq Barrett for a year.
No, I mean, you're right, Mike. You made that point on text yesterday, and when you said it, I went, ooh, that's a really good point. That might be part of the equation. You're right, with the fact that if he's asking for some huge, and what was his franchise tag? Going
$18.99 million.
$18.99 million. So I don't know what he's asking for, but there is a lot of guys out there, like you're talking about, on the edge, right, who won't be able to command Shaquille Barrett-type money. And, he's a guy, again, he was a middle-round pick, if I remember correctly, coming out of Colorado State, drafted by Denver, doing all that. He's just starting to make money. So he might be one of those guys that looks at it and goes, listen, I love the Bucs and I'd love to be here for a winner, but it's time for, Big Daddy here to get paid, right? So he might be one of those that goes, I need the money. I want some security, some long-term stuff and all of that, and that becomes an issue. Okay, but then yes, to your point, there's guys out there like Leonard Floyd, for an example, and a lot of other players to where you go, wow, that's a really good player that's not going to be able to command $18 million a year or anything in that ballpark. And I think that makes a lot of sense, and I can see that. Yannick Ngakoue, can he command that kind of money out on the market? I don't think so, not at this point. It's a good chunk of change, and I don't expect it to be him. But just adding to your point, there are a lot of good edge pass rushers out there.
And that's what's amazing, because we are reminded from time to time, specifically in the Super Bowl, how important it is to have great pass rushers. And then we kind of forget about it, and then we're reminded of it again by some dominant pass rushing performance in the Super Bowl. So this is a valuable position. I would put quarterback, pass rusher, tackle. I don't know. How do you rank them as overall value? Is pass rusher more valuable than a tackle?
I think so. I do. Yes. Yeah. I think I look at that and just go, a pass rusher, an elite pass rusher can affect the game in so many ways. And tackle, of course, is very important for all the reasons to block those guys. But, man, a really elite defense end, they affect the run game. They can be great that way. And then, of course, the amount of, forget the sacks and things like that. It's the disruption. It's the quarterback pressures, everything that helps the secondary. So I would say that's probably the number 2 thing on my list too.
And that's what makes it amazing that so many of them are going to be floating around, and that's got to be factoring into the Buccaneers' thinking. This isn't something they just randomly did. This isn't just, well, Tommy wants his receiver here, so we have to keep the receiver, and we'll just have to figure something out on defense. Defense has to be a priority. Their defense has been a key part of that championship run. That defense helped them in many situations. That defense kept the Packers from parlaying 3 consecutive Tom Brady interceptions into a victory, what would have been a stunning come-from-behind victory. They were down 28-10, Green Bay was. The defense stiffened on 2 of those 3 drives and kept the Packers from taking the lead. And then we know what happened. Yeah, but down at the end, I assume that was one of the drives resulting from one of the interceptions where they almost scored the touchdown and
didn't go for it on fourth down
and didn't go for it on fourth down. Yeah, so defense important, but maybe they think they can find another Shaq Barrett and not have to pay that kind of money. Barrett did say not that long ago he wants to break the bank. So we know that his objective is to get paid maximum dollars, and to get maximum dollars, he may have to go somewhere else.
That's where, when you really look at it and you hear those comments and just that was my first thought, like I said, that he might be asking for, they realized, man, this is going to be a 1-year thing, and he's out of here because he's looking to break the bank. And listen, from Shaquille Barrett's standpoint, he can look at other defense ends in football right now and go, wait, I've been better than these guys for 3 years now, and they're making a ton of money. And here, I'll just throw out some names. I mean, he certainly can look at DeMarcus Lawrence and Frank Clark, who I got a lot of respect for Frank Clark and what he does. But he can look at them realistically and go, wait, I've been better than them for 2 or 3 years now. He can look at Trey Flowers, who went from New England to the Detroit Lions, who's making $18 million a year, and go, I'm definitely better than him. There's no doubt about it. So I affect the game in more areas and do all those type of things. So from that standpoint, you look at it, and yeah, I look at Shaq Barrett, and I'm not mad at him if he's asking for $20 million a year and north of that for where the market is and things like that, and he's the next guy up and all of that. So it'll be interesting to watch what happens with him here as we go along.
And it's not just looking at the guys who are going to hit the market. It's considering the guys who may still yet hit the market. Von Miller and the Broncos have yet to figure out their situation. The Broncos obviously and reportedly want Von Miller to take less than $18 million this year. If he hits the market, we don't know what kind of conversations he and Tom Brady have been having. There's all sorts of tampering that isn't really tampering that happens among players. The idea of Tom and Von reuniting or uniting, they've never been united before except on opposite sides of the ball in Tampa, that's just one of the paths that the Buccaneers can take.
It is.
And that's where the challenge becomes forgetting who the guy is, forgetting what he's done, and saying we got to make a good decision. And the other side of this, too, and this may be why Barrett wants so much money. I mean, he knows what else is out there. All it takes is one owner to say, I want that guy, I want that guy, I want that guy. And you know what? His team is going to pay that guy.
Sure.
And that getting that guy who was part of a Super Bowl run and making him the centerpiece of your free agency class and also hurting the Buccaneers or thinking you're hurting the Buccaneers, that's part of this game too. There's a strong business component to free agency. I've seen every year at this time, we see the articles and the analyses which point to a conclusion that we already know. You don't build a championship team in free agency by spending big money.
No.
You do it by being smart and
Right.
waiting for the market to settle and
Right.
shopping for bargains. But you build a successful financial operation in part by creating excitement by going out and overpaying a free agent because you get season ticket renewals, you sell jerseys, you take attention away from other leagues, teams in other leagues in your market. There are business reasons for it to happen that are independent of whether or not it's ever going to help you win a Super Bowl. And that's part of the reality. And even in a year with a reduced cap, Chris, there's going to be teams that want to make that splash, especially as we recover from the pandemic. We start thinking about selling tickets for 2021. It helps to sell tickets if you can say, we got Shaq Barrett away from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
No doubt about that. There is that aspect. Some teams looking to make a splash, just get, in the good favor of the fans, get a little hype and propaganda going about, hey, we're doing the right things as an organization here. We're trying to win and do that. And that could very easily be Shaq Barrett. He would fit that mold, too, to where you're not going to have to pay him to be the highest paid defensive end in the history of football or anything like that. But you're going to be able to give him a splash contract and go, look, did you see what he did? Did you see all those highlights of him chasing down Mahomes and all over him? And did you see all those big sacks he had against Aaron Rodgers in that game? Yeah, the guy's big time. He shows up in big moments, and that will excite a fan base to what you're saying.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.